changes, I feel like, from week to week. Like, it's like, oh, we're all in on this guy, and all of a sudden we don't even hear about him anymore. I mean, I feel like Jerrick Gibson was one of those guys where, obviously, being a backyard guy who just in Gainesville, felt like that was a lock, and then he comes and visits, and now it's crystal ball to Texas. It's like, what the hell happened? He was just hanging out with us.
Yeah, I mean, so that situation is a little different. He's like you said, he's a Gainesville kid, committed to Florida when he was a freshman, right when he got the offer, then moved from Gainesville to Mundy's Mill, Georgia. Um, I'm not sure where that city is, or maybe David can help elaborate on
David's
where that
backyard.
is in the state of Georgia. But then he goes from there to IMG as a junior. IMG, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. IMG encourages him to decommit, to see out the recruiting process, because somebody that's from Gainesville commits to Florida right away. If you do that, a lot of teams are not going to offer, because hometown team, they pretty much think you're locked in. He
Sure.
backs off that commitment, and his recruitment it immediately explodes. Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, you name it, he got an offer from him.
Okay.
So it's really helped out his recruiting process. It's allowed him to go through the process, which I think every prospect should.
Sure.
You only get to go through this process one time, maybe twice if you enter the transfer portal, because of the way things are now. Um, but you should enjoy the process. I'm not saying that if you're committed to a school, go take 100 visits, because I mean, you make a commitment. I think commitment is a commitment, but you never know what's going to happen. So take a couple visits here and there, enjoy your process, and really figure out if that's where you want to be.
No,
Yeah,
I love
and
that.
Oh, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
go. Connor, I know that we talked about. I think that's in Jonesboro, by the way, Monday's Mill. I looked it up a little bit. I've never heard of the high school, but we're talking about DJ Lagway here, and of course he's from Willis, Texas. And if you go and you look, and usually most of the talent every year usually comes from the state of Florida. This year, a lot of the talent's in
Georgia
the
and
state of
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
So
And
for
Georgia.
for Florida to even pick up DJ Lagway to get from Willis, Texas as a five-star quarterback, that's a big coup, a big feather in the cap for Florida, and it helps them out in the state of Texas this year where most of the talent is.
And
No, you're absolutely right, David. Texas is absolutely loaded this year. I can't remember what I was looking at, like the top 50 players in the state of Texas, and I think you get down to number 50, and you're still within like the top 250 players or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
crazy.
I might be off on that by a little bit, but it's ridiculous the amount of talent. Obviously, we know Florida always has a lot of talent, but Texas does as well, and then they've seemed to stepped it up a little bit this year.
and real quick, we got a couple super chats from the account FSU sucks saying FSU sucks. So I just wanted to say thanks for the the donation, and couldn't agree more.
Like it.
So I love it. Wanted to show some love here. When you were talking about Jerrick Gibson and him being committed before, being a hometown kid, not getting too many offers, reminded me of the analogy of basically kind of like, the kids in Bama and Georgia, locking down the cute, country girl, because she doesn't know what she can go out there and get. And I feel like we allowed her to go to the big city, and we lost her. We lost her, boys. We shouldn't let her. We shouldn't have let her leave the house. Should have closed the doors. It looks like he's moving on to bigger things. But look, I mean, that's kind of how it's going to go. I think I saw a couple things where Florida's still obviously in the mix a little bit, but for him being crystal ball to Texas by Wilt Fong, we talked about that. Wilt Fong doesn't miss.